Hi, today I'd like to teach you how to find the exponential regression for a set of data. So I'm going to be using an example with Lego. Have you seen the price of Lego? Lego is, there's a real demand for Lego, especially Legos that are no longer being manufactured. So let's just use an example of a particular Lego that was set from the year 2000. And let's say that Lego set was $39.99 when originally purchased in 2000. The price of this Lego has increased over time for the purchase of the same set in its original box. The table below shows how the price has changed over time. So you can see in the year 2000, the price was $39.99. In 2005, the price of that Lego to purchase would have been $62. In 2010, $90. In 2015, $127. And now in 2020, that original set that was $39.99 is now for sale for $190. Let's let X represent the number of years since the year 2000. So you can see in parentheses, I've put the number of years since 2000. And let's let Y equal the price of the Lego set. What we're going to do is graph a scatter plot on our graphing calculator to find the equation for the exponential regression. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. And to begin this problem, we're going to have to enter the data into our graphing calculator. And we do that by clicking on Stat and selecting Edit. This is where you enter the data. Now, I've already entered the data. If you need to enter the data, now would be a good time for you to pause this video and enter the data into L1 and L2. All right, so now that the data is entered, we are ready to find the equation. So to find the equation, we go to Stat, and we arrow over to Calc. Now, if you were finding the linear regression, you would choose number 4, and that would give you an equation in slope-intercept form. But since we're doing an exponential regression, we're going to go down to expreg, and in my calculator, it's number 0. So I'm going to press Enter. Now, you may bring up a menu that has more choices than I have. So in that case, you're going to arrow down to Store Reg EQ. So we want to store our equation into Y1. Since I don't have an expanded menu, I just keep my cursor right here. Those of you with Store Reg EQ, arrow down to that. Now I'm going to tell my calculator to store this into Y1. So from here, I click on vars, which stands for variables. I'm going to arrow over to yvars. I'm going to select number 1, and then I'm going to select Y1. And at this point, now Y1 should be in your Store Reg EQ menu, and you're going to press Enter until you get the equation. So you can see this equation is given to you in exponential form. Y equals A times B to the X, where A represents the starting value or y-intercept, and B represents the growth rate. In this case, my growth rate is more than 1, or my B value, my multiplier, is greater than 1, which indicates that it is growing over time. And of course, we know from our data that the price of Lego is growing. You can see here my R, my correlation coefficient, is 0.999, so that's almost perfect. So this exponential regression is almost a perfect fit for the data. Let's see what it looks like on a graph. If I go to Y equals, I should see that my equation has been stored. And if I go to second Y equals, I want to make sure that my scatter plot is on. So I have my scatter plot stored in Y1, in stat plot 1. So I'm just going to click in there. I see that my scatter plot is on. I have the scatter plot selected. I'm getting my data from list 1 and list 2, and I'm using a large square so that I can really see the data points. Now that my scatter plot is on and my line is in Y1, I am ready to graph. So to graph, I'm going to go to Zoom, and I'm going to choose Zoom Stat. Zoom Stat is number 9. And I'm choosing Zoom Stat because Zoom Stat zooms into the statistical data that I have entered. I don't need to create a window on my own. I let the calculator do the work. So I'm going to press Enter. And there you can see my scatter plot. And you can see my exponential regression, which looks like such a beautiful fit for my data. It goes through all of the points. And that is how you graph a exponential regression.